The Turkish lira has hit a new record low, falling to 7.25 against the dollar on Thursday. It's prompted regulatory authorities to launch a crackdown on what they've described as manipulative and misleading transactions in financial markets. The lira's fall comes after Turkey's finance minister Berat Albayrak held a call with foreign investors, saying the country would quickly recover from the economic effects of the coronavirus outbreak. On Tuesday, the banking regulator imposed new measures aimed at making it harder for foreign investors to bet that the lira will fall. The currency's previous low was 7.23 to the dollar, which occurred in August 2018. The Turkish government has announced plans to begin easing lockdown restrictions that were put in place to stem the spread of COVID-19. More than 130,000 people in the country have tested positive for the disease.
We are creating the new normals of a new life, which will be different than the normals before. We believe that it is useful to give a name to the new term, which will see lifting some restrictions. That will help us control the risks in our fight against the disease. That is controlled social life. It is a new strategy of the second phase in the fight against the pandemic. It is a new way of life. Free but cautious.
Well, for more on the lira's decline, let's go to Taha Arvas here in Istanbul. He's an economist and financial columnist at the Daily Sabah newspaper. Good to have you back with us, Taha. Now, as I mentioned, we've seen a new record low, even worse than the low we saw back in August 2018. Can you tell us more about why we've seen the lira decline?
Sure. I think this is just, it's important to note that this decline isn't Turkey specific. The Turkish lira is down 17% this year, but its emerging market peers, Brazil is down 30%, nearly double what Turkey's down. South Africa, 25%. Mexico, over 20% exempt. These are all countries that are doing much worse than Turkey. However, they are in the same basket as Turkey, emerging markets that don't have much natural resources to speak of that they're exporting. So in that respect, Turkey is vulnerable to the corona pandemic, just as all other countries are. The euro, the pound sterling, all these major currencies are down against the dollar.
So what are authorities doing to stabilize the lira?
So they've taken steps to make sure that it's not easy to short the lira, to essentially speculate against its fall. This is in line with what the Federal Reserve and the ECB have done. There are many industries where they've curbed shorting or speculation in pushing markets lower. Obviously, everyone knows that there is a pandemic and the economy is a global economy, will take time to recover. And so it's important to essentially halt speculation in these currencies until countries reopen, until they emerge from the perfect storm of foreign exchange crises that we're in right now.
Now, we heard authorities back during the 2018 currency crisis blame manipulation by foreign financial institutions. Some were being threatened with investigation, and I think authorities this time have responded in kind with unnamed London financial institutions being blamed. How widespread is this practice of betting against certain currencies?
I mean, the foreign exchange market is a multi-trillion-dollar market. So obviously, anything that we know about bond markets, even equity markets, much smaller, these are all dwarfed in comparison to foreign exchange markets. So it's a very large market. The important thing to note is in 2018, the government already took a lot of steps to curb this type of speculation. So I think this may just be an extra shot in the arm to investors and to holders of Turkish lira that the currency is not vulnerable to added speculation. Other than that, I don't think this is necessarily a Turkey-specific event, like I said. And as Turkey recovers from this, obviously with cheap energy for the rest of the year, it appears Turkey should do well in its recovery, and the Turkish lira as well will probably recover at that point.
We've already seen the lira stabilise somewhat. It's certainly not at 7.25 against the dollar, which happened earlier in the session. Do you expect to see other shocks in terms of the currency falling further?
the one thing you can't predict is foreign currency prices. There's a great paper called Overconfidence in Currency Markets, and it talks about this. No one really knows where currencies will go. So I can't predict whether Turkish lira will appreciate or depreciate from here, but I do know that the entire shock to all foreign currencies worldwide, and we're talking about literally all foreign currencies, they've all depreciated against the dollar, and the dollar in turn has depreciated against gold. People are looking for a way out of this pandemic, really. And when economies are slow and when economies are stopped, rather, as much as of Turkey and Europe and the United States and other countries are because of the pandemic, people are looking for a place to park their money. And in this case, they've chosen dollars in general throughout the world. And so when economies come back, when they come back to operation, then I think we'll see all foreign currencies appreciate against the dollar.
Okay, Taha Arvas in Istanbul, thanks so much, as always, for breaking that down for us.